Hello, everybody. I hope all of you guys are doing well. Today, I come to take 10 minutes of your very important time to be able to tell you something which is worth the time that you're going to be spending with me. It is something which is the very important thing when it comes to the CLAT preparation. Now, I'm sure you must have heard this in the hearsay. A lot of people keep humming this. And in fact, this is the very yardstick of every CLAT aspirant. That is, they are to do reading. But the major challenge arises is where to begin from. Once we know a start point, we know how to navigate from there. But the biggest challenge is where do we begin? What do we do? What if I am inherently a non reader? What do I do about it? So, today I'm going to be telling you some basic inclusions that you can start with, things that you can begin to align yourselves around, and you're going to see that just by regrouping these little things, the reading can begin to come naturally to you. So without any further ado, let us begin with what is it that we have. How do you read, especially for the aspirants of 2028? Now, beginning with, I want to read like a topper, but how do I? Do toppers do something which is extraordinarily different? No, they just do things differently, as how it is always said. So, when you also get into this entire rat race of the competition, you have to make sure that your grounding is firm. And for that, just some very mild changes is what you need to do. Like I said, कोई phenomenal change करने की जरूरत नहीं है. Some discipline, some consistency, some genuine effort towards reading, बस इतना ही काफी है करने के लिए. So now, first thing that you have to do is you have to do reading without hating to read. Now, the moment you begin to detest what you are told to do, you will never want to do that with the kind of will that you want. Now, what intent you read with is very important while you do your reading. So, the first thing that you have to do is fall in love with reading. If not love, at least have a decent relationship with reading. So, hating it, not a very good idea. Second, please understand reading is a skill. Skills do not happen overnight, they take time, which is why you will have to give it is what it, I mean, you have to give what is ideally called the incubation period. You will have to make sure that it is given the desired amount of energy, that investment which is required. So it's not like a newspaper subscription ki aaj se chalu kiya kal subah se aane lagega. No, it does not happen like that. It's a skill. Skill take time. I can't give you a bat and say go play for the cricket Indian cricket team from the very first day. It is going to take you a while for you to be able to be capable enough to do it. So is the case with reading. It's not of magic, it's not a fairy tale, it doesn't happen with a flick of a wand. You will have to persevere, you will have to put in that level of endurance which is required, and you will get there. But for that, you will have to travel a path which is going to be laden with a lot of hard work. Now, going along, have you guys ever wondered if I took your phone away for 1 hour, right? Absolutely, just that digital toxic. I mean that digital. What is it exactly called? I'm not very sure though. But it's just that detox. Sorry, my bad. The digital detox phase is what we're going around with, right? So if I take your phone away for 1 hour, what are you going to do? Of course, it will begin with first you're going to be really sad about it. It's a tragic loss. I totally understand. But however, after all of that, what is it that you're going to do? You will by default begin to wander, your eyes will go everywhere. And what will you do? You will begin to read. Now that's the start of reading, guys. When we say you have to read, it does not mean you have to start reading from, those very heavy articles and the editorials. No, there's a building block to every reading that you have. So when we expect you to read, we want you to read by just these little things, things that you like. Because it's very important for you to have a relationship with reading. It's not an arranged marriage wherein you've been forced to be together. It has to come naturally to you, because whatever comes natural to you will have more longevity. It is going to stay longer. It's going to be more long lasting, which is why what you do in daily practice, we're just going to simply polish that a bit, refine that a bit. So anything that you simply see and you want to read, that is also reading. Standing at a signal, not knowing what to do, reading, reading probably some sort of a hoarding in front of you is reading. Reading maybe just a notification on the mobile phone is also reading. For as long as you are associated with the act of reading, that's a good start to reading altogether. Now, let's begin with, as somebody who is just into their 11 standards and somebody who is wanting to be, getting a grip on reading. Let's see how much of daily reading do we really do. I'm sure we read Instagram captions, don't we? Sometimes it expands to stories. Sometimes it expands to, these articles, the links that they post, and then going back to the links. So there's enough reading that you're doing. It's the Reddit articles, which are, of course, the most controversial, the most fun ones. We have comics, we've got sports, we've got novels, we've got news. And if you are doing any of these things, my dears, you are already reading. Like I said, all that you now have to do is simply upgrade that bit of reading that you're going to get into. Now, always remember, guys, there has to be basic leveling up that needs to be done for reading. If you force yourself to read, you will not get there. Make sure that every step that you take comes in organically, which is why what I propose is there needs to be a reading ladder that you need to have. Now, in the reading ladder, what happens is we begin with the first, which is comprising of all things good, things that you like. So you can begin by reading the comics, the reviews, the sports. So whatever suits you. You like reading maybe Bollywood, you like reading film fair, you like reading something, which is maybe a lawsuit, maybe a judgment that has come out. You like reading just some guidelines that have been come out, anything. So begin by reading that. Once you've understood that, okay, now this is the dedicated reading that I'm going to do, and I'm going to consciously do it for 15 minutes, you jump up the ladder. You go onto your ladder two. Now you're going to do at least an entry level quality reading. So now you're going to be reading blogs. You're then going to get into some long form stories. So these are not going to be the short stories. These are not going to be the fun content. While you will keep doing the fun content, but थोड़ा थोड़ा हम लोग वो content भी करेंगे जो अब थोड़ा सा हमें relevancy की तरफ लेके आएगा. Once you're done with level 2, you're going into boss level now. Now comes in level 3. Here is where you will pick up the editorial or the opinions. Please understand, Rome was not built in a day. If you think मैंने आज क्लैट के लिए एडमिशन लिया, मुझे आज ही से रीडिंग स्टार्ट करनी है और मैं आज ही से सब कुछ रीड कर दूंगा, नहीं. It will never happen. You will have to make sure that the kind of reading that you're going to do, like I said, has to come from within. And for that, you will have to let yourself evolve. Now, see, there are two categories of people. Apne hote readers. Readers are those maniacs. They're always into books. And then we have the non-readers. Do the non-readers not read at all? No. They don't prefer reading. There's a difference. For CLAT, you have to understand, since the entire CLAT paper is a mini novel, reading has to happen. It's indispensable. It's what we call the sine qua non of CLAT. Reading has to be there. Why? Because जब तक आप read नहीं करोगे, आप answer क्या करोगे? जब तक आप answer नहीं करोगे, marks कहाँ आएंगे? It's a vicious loop. तो भाई read तो करना है, isn't it? इसीलिए read वो करो जो अच्छा लगे, and then maybe trick your brain a little, right? It's the carrot and stick policy, wherein for every time you reward it, you also want to rebuke it. You want to give it something which is a little bit more challenging, right? Once you finish with level 2, you get to the heavy duty stuff, which is now going to be your editorials and your opinions, and ultimately get into the most important, which are going to be your CLK, which are your judgments, your reports, your GK, those heavy grenade GKs, and so on and so forth. But baby steps is the way to it. Your jumps or these plunges into reading is never the way to it at all. Now, what I come with, guys, is a 1 minute reading challenge. Now, all of these, please understand, are for starters. People who are already into thorough reading, you guys are already slaying it. There is nothing that we want. But for all of the people who find it difficult to be able to initiate the reading, see, always remember, guys, the start is a problem. बस चालू कर दो, आगे का रास्ता अपने आप हो जाएगा. But the first step is a challenge, and which is why you have to make it. And for that, you don't have to do something which is going to, take away all of the happiness of your life. Just try and sacrifice 15-20 minutes on daily basis, and clearly, once you begin to enjoy that activity, then there is of course no stopping to it. So the 15-minute challenge that I propose for you guys is do 5 minutes of fun reading, things that you like. Do 5 minutes of informative reading, right? Because you've had the fun, your mood's gotten into it, your brain has rewired, your cortisol levels are down, no stress at all, good hormones are flushing out of the system, everything is hunky dory, life seems to be happy again. Start with the reading. Informative reading is now you're going to tell your brain that I have rewarded myself. Now I'm going to do something which is going to require me to put in some effort, थोड़ी मेहनत की reading, and 15 minutes of really difficult reading is what you're expected to do. Now, this difficult reading is going to be the kind of reading that you know, doesn't serve you any happiness. It has to be the tough lot that you're going to be doing. 15 मिनट का काम है, कोई बहुत मुश्किल काम तो है ही नहीं, right? And when you get into reading, what you should make sure, a kind of mistake that most of the people do is they think जीके पढ़ रहे हैं, पैसेज पढ़ रहे हैं, रीडिंग तो हो रही है, बट आप कभी ये नहीं समझते कि रीडिंग किस इंटेंट से कर रहे हो वो भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. आपको आपके रीडिंग कॉम्प्रिहेंशन का पैसेज कभी भी 2 दिन बाद भी याद नहीं रहेगा, बिकॉज यू डिडंट रीड इट टू इवॉल्व. You read it so that you could answer the 5 questions. That was it. Your relationship with reading was very commercial. But reading needs to be done to be able to evolve. So when you read, make sure that you diversify from the sources of reading as well. So you get into eclectic reading. So read beyond the news, read world affairs, read business, sports, science, psychology, law, culture, fiction, whatever it is that fits your purpose. So that's going to be the kind of reading that you guys are to do. And every time you do reading, to make it more meaningful, what are you going to do? You're going to ask every article, what happened? Why did it happen? Who's really benefiting out of it? And what's your opinion? Because at the end of the day, CLAT is going to test your perception towards it. It's not what you read, it's what you comprehend from what you read that really matters, right? So 1 minute summary is another way to go ahead to just be able to test whether what you did was superficial reading, bland reading किया अपन ने कि सच में समझा कि what is it that we read. So explain whatever be today's reading to a friend or to a mentor and see how much of the information are you able to gather. The more information you're able to gather, you are there. It's just that you wanted a push, and this can be one of the best ways for you to initiate that. One little suggestion that I'd like to give when you begin with your reading, I like things colorful, so which is why I think the color methods really work well. Now, when you're reading, have different highlighters to yourself. Now, this is just a sample. You can, of course, do it the way you want. And this needs to intentionally be done with reading all of the or underlining all of the information that is read if it is interesting, green if that information is new, and blue if you didn't understand. And sometime later in the day, what you're going to do is you're going to revisit only the blue parts of yours so that you reread the difficult part and you're able to grab whatever it is that you did not understand. Sometimes all you require is a new pair of eyes. That's about it. So a weekly reading bingo can begin with some newspaper, some novel chapters, magazine, biography, court case summary, genre based article, and opinion pieces, which are, of course, going to be your editorial. You don't have to have a wild goose chase. It's just reachable resources, reachable to your hand at hand's length, wherever they be. Just try and grab those from and begin reading. If you think that none of this is what suits you, start by watching some audio visuals of things that you like and then go to that. So, for example, I want to read biographies and I hate it. I will start watching. Once my interest begins to brim on it, I will then reroute myself to a more, you know, a non visual and a more mundane or a more non interactive version of it, which is now going to be the reading bit. That is one of the ways in which I can help myself be a little drawn towards the idea. I can at least breed that idea of reading within myself. So at least for start, a 21-day mission. Why? Because it just takes 3 weeks to make a habit. You're going to read 20 minutes daily from a different source, one new word, 2-line summary, and share that fact so that you can feel like a genius and you can feel that all of the reading that you did was, of course, worth it. And finally, read anything for 20 minutes today. Soon after you watch this, mark every page so that the next page becomes easier. And this is exactly what the toppers do. Why? Because in CLAT, reading is not a part of it. Always remember, guys, reading is CLAT. And that is all that it takes. Thank you so much for sparing your valuable time. I hope I made some sense and that reading can at least be given a head start. Do write in the comments as to whatever you feel has been the biggest hurdle, and I will come back with a solution for it. I do have more interesting shots coming up, videos coming up in the kitty, but for now, this is what your weekly task is. Until next time, everybody, adios. Have a great day. Happy reading. And if not the happy part, reading. I'm sure the happiness will come from within sometime. Bye.